Hello everybody, Jim here, and today I want to talk about one of my favorite MMOs called Guild Wars 2. This game does so much different. It innovates on games that used to be considered innovating, right? World of Warcraft came out, and that was one of the most innovating games to come out. It was a huge success, very, very popular. But I'm sitting in there, I'm like, I've tried to play WoW. Very recently in my videos, I was playing World of Warcraft, and I can never get to the end of the trial, which is level 20. The questing experience in that game is so bad, even with the new zone, right? BFA questing was horrible. It was literally, and all of WoW has been like this, right? You go collect a quest, you take that quest, it takes you on this huge journey, right? The journey revolves around you collecting other quests from NPCs that has you killing things, collecting things, or clicking on them. That is it. That is the extent of the quest. Does this change late game? Oh, I'm sure it does. Dungeons and raids and stuff. Probably some of the best in its genre. But getting to that is so painful. It is so painful. I am a busy individual. I have very limited time to play games, and when I do, I want to have fun, not sit through, 20 to 50 hours of grind just to get to the good bit. And Josh Strife has actually made a video on that. It was like, it gets good in 100 hours, right? It was one of those videos. And he made so many good points, so many valid points, and I wish more game developers would take that in consideration. Some people don't want to play your game for 100 hours until it gets good. Because what happens if it doesn't get good, right? Good is subjective. So I've tried getting into WoW. I love the aesthetic to WoW. I love a lot of things about World of Warcraft, but just getting to the end game is so painful. Now, if you do buy the expansion, you get 1 level boost. But what happens if you want to play an alt? Well, then you have to level them up. Or you can buy a boost. And it's just, it's not fun, right? At least in my opinion, it's not fun. And every time I play a different MMO, I always look back to Guild Wars 2 on how it handles MMORPGs, how it takes things differently. So, and I just kind of want to go over briefly on what it does differently and how it does it better. So, for starters, graphically, now I am using a reshade. That's what Guild Wars looks like without it, right? It looks okay. It looks whatever. Now the expansions look a lot better, and the same thing goes for World of Warcraft. If we were to use the comparison, the expansions look better. This is old technology. This game is about 10 years old at this point. Could be even older. I'm not entirely sure when it got released, but yeah, it's old. Use a reshade. It brings it to life. It makes it look way better. Yeah, use a reshade, please. But yeah. So cool. That event got cleared out by someone, thank God. But visually, to me, this game looks better. I tried using reshade on World of Warcraft. I did like a lot of flickering, so. But questing, that's a huge one. The one I was just complaining about. This game does questing better. World of Warcraft, you go up, you grab quests, you do the killing or the collecting or the clicking, and you come back, you get your reward. This game still has those types of quests, but these are considered renown hearts. For one, you don't have to do them, right? They're completely optional. If you don't want to do the quests, don't do the quests. They are optional. But let's grab this waypoint. They do give a lot of XP, and I think they are worth doing. They're very easy to do. But when you go up to a heart quest, you get a couple of things to do. It's not just one thing. You can do X, Y, or Z. And the X, Y, and Z usually consist of killing, clicking, or collect. But you can go there, do all the stuff, get the XP, and overall there's less of them, right? And this whole region, talk about immersion, dude. You're just walking around, you'll hear these guys just talking. And they actually have full voice dialogue, extremely long loop time. But sorry, I guess I just want to repair my. Fix me up. Repair my. But yeah, like just in one little questing hub would be the amount of questing in an entire region here. There's less quests, but they give way more experience. This makes the questing feel one, more rewarding, and two, less of a drag. So here, now we're in a heart. See this? Defeat, crate, rescue slaves, and put slaves' remains to rest. Is a quest that I can do. There's also a hero point and a point of interest here that I can go and do. And I will get XP for it. Boom. Got 160 XP for just swimming in this area. Nice little chunk of XP. I'm not going to do the heart right now. There's a Vista over there I can grab. Let's move over here. Let's go grab this Vista. But yeah, the world feels alive. There are events everywhere, right? You go in an area, you see a big old orange circle. There's an event going on there. Some of them are small little fights. Some of them are actual huge battles. And they scale off of the population that's there. So these events are 100% worth doing. They give a lot of experience. They usually give pretty good rewards. This naturally brings people together. Heck, the first expansion to Heart of Thorns was nothing but world events. There was no world quest. There was like a main story quest, but there wasn't traditional. Here. Oh. This again. But there was no quests. Like how you got your XP was these world events, which just it's just grouped people up naturally, right? See, World of Warcraft focuses on. How do I get over? Not cheap. Can I just view it here? Oh, I can. Nice. So boom! Look at all the experience for just doing that jumping puzzle. Simple little puzzle too. Anyways, getting sidetracked. World of Warcraft, all of its main content, what makes it good is in instance fights, and I never got that. You have one of the few MMOs that has a true open world. You can walk to A to Z. And and they don't use it, right? They don't use this massive world. You go to the in-game zones, you do the content, you grind out the weapons, and you do instance con, right? You do PvP, you do raids or dungeons. That is the game's selling point. That's what it does best. And I just, that makes the world overall feel pretty darn dead. Not to including the servers. The only, that's another thing, the way the servers work, right? If you're on, say, Moonguard, right? If you're on the server Moonguard or Stormrage, you're only going to be playing with those people when it comes to open world content. Now, when it comes to dungeons and raids and PvP, all those are sharded together, right? You can play with people in different servers in that specific content. Once again, they're putting a lot of focus on those instance content. Guild Wars has a ton of different servers, and they all share a world together. The only thing that matters is the world v world, which is it's another zone, big huge zone, where it's 1 versus 1 versus 1 PvP content with sieges and trebuchets and overall just large warfare, right? And that's its version of like open world PvP. But other than that, everything else, small scale dungeons, raids, open world exploration events, meta events, all that stuff is shared between all the servers. They don't split the population up. Everyone plays together. The only time the server matters is if you want to do world versus world with your friends. Then at that point, you would want to pick the same server. Let's move on to this other. See what's in here. Boop. But as you can see, it's zoned out. It's sectioned off. But the world feels so much more alive. Now I have this whole map here to explore, which grants more experience. You can get to full maxed out level by just exploring the map. You don't have to touch quests. Let's hurry this. Now these guys are level 21, so I don't want to stay in this area. I want to go back, but I just want to zoned. All right, we are in 15 to 20. Oh no bueno, we want to new level. So there's quest, but we can go back and finish the story. But yeah, so when it comes to just immersion and the game world, if you want a game world to truly feel like a reality and not just a static wasteland, Guild Wars does it right. Some deer. And got a hoof. I don't want a hoof. I guess hoof. Now, when it comes to classes, when it comes to World of Warcraft, I use WoW a lot because it's one of the big dogs. And the best way to tell you about a game is just comparing it to something that's similar to it. But like classes in WoW, you know, you have all your different classes, and each one has different specs. Right? For example, Paladin, you've got Ret Paladin, which is more healer. You've got the healing one, you got the tanky one, and you pick a spec. Those are your abilities. Whatever spec they give you the abilities based on that, and that's what you play as. Guild Wars, you pick a class. You then pick a weapon, just because I'm a ranger, right? Just because I'm a ranger doesn't mean I have to use a bow. I have a greatsword. I can use a greatsword. Right? I can use a normal sword, longbow, shortbow, axes with elite specs. I can use staffs. I can now use a warhorn, torches. Like I can use all of these abilities. Not just bows. Just because I'm a ranger doesn't mean I have to use bows. And different classes will use different weapons differently. Well, me using a greatsword is going to be different than what a warrior skills would be. Not only that, but I don't have them unlocked yet. At level 21, I'll get it. You can get specializations, right? There's skill trees. There's quite a few of them. I think there's 6 of them to start off with. 2, 3. All right, there's 5 to start. You pick 3 of them, each one consisting of different traits, and you got to pick which one you want. That is going to be your build. Elite specs are additional specializations you can. Like Druid will turn your typically a DPS based character, you turn it into a support character. One of the best support characters in the game, in my opinion. It gives out a ton of extra damage to your Go Soul Beast if I want to be more a little bit more mobile, right? You pretty much like consume your pet. It is extra abilities. It's pretty cool. Then you have Untamed, which I'll be honest with you, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Let's click on it real quick. See what it says. So it allows me to use a hammer. Oh, that's interesting. Wow, that actually seems kind of cool. But yeah, that completely changes the class. Each spec you choose changes the class. The weapon you use changes the class. And it makes it feel a lot more diverse. There's build crafting here. Not just, oh, I picked Ret Paladin. This is what I'm doing. No, it's not how this game functions. Now, this can be a little bit intimidating, and I would recommend going build guides player. But this gives it so much more diversity. Say you're tired of playing the standard typical ranged character, right? Throw a staff on, boom, your support. Throw a hammer on, boom. Hammers are typically a little bit more of a tankier playstyle. I'm not saying that that's going to be a tank ranger, though you can build that if you wanted to. Just that's typically what hammers kind of go for, is more of a CC oriented, big brute. Boom, though, it's there. So just because you're playing ranger doesn't mean you're stuck to specific playstyle, right? Yeah, when it comes to just class progression and things like that, it does it so much better. Combat, man. Combat feels so much better. I was playing priest, And the amount of stationary spell castings that I had to do was unbelievable, man. It was such a drag. Having to hit a button and wait for the little bar to finish up before I could move again, it was painful. This game is the opposite, right? Even with like spell casting, you can do that on the move. There are a very, very select few abilities that require you to be stationary. And that's because these are very, very powerful abilities, very, very strong. But they're far and few in between, right? There's just a couple. Most of anything you do is going to be on the move, right? There's dodging, which gives you invincibility iframe, right? Which adds just an extra layer of skill to the combat, right? Dodging at right times can win you fights. There are skill-based mechanics. For example, I have a block. If someone hits me with this, then I'll be able to retaliate, knock them backwards, and stun them. So there is a little bit of a timing skill as well. So when it comes to combat, you can actually do content. You can do things that are more difficult, but you can still win because this game requires a bit more of skill than just having the correct gear. Now, of course, having good gear on is definitely going to help you, give you more HP and damage. But it's not everything. Skill plays a factor. I feel like a lot of MMOs, it's just about your level and your gear. This game is a lot more of a reactive gameplay than a proactive. Right? You play games like WoW or Final Fantasy and things are rotation. You do a rotation to pull off the maximum amount of DPS. This game, you use the abilities based on what's on, right? I'm not going to want to use my 3 ability unless I'm trying to close a gap on someone. If someone's running away, then I'll want to use my 3. I don't want to use it while I'm in front of them because then I'll just waste it, right? Like, that was a waste. Now it's on cooldown. And now I can't use it for this guy to get up to him, right? So you use abilities based on the circumstance. It's a reactive gameplay, proactive. And that makes each fight feel a little bit different. It makes it feel, once again, dynamic. That is the best way to explain. Boom. See, I saved it for him. Got dead. That's the best way I can use to explain this game. It is a reactive style. Let's see. Some swords and stuff I made. Yeah, that's the best way to explain. Now, another thing you can do is you can grind out these things called tomes of knowledge. I actually have one on me. This gives you 1 level. Save up 80 of these bad boys and boom, you can take an alt from level 1 to level 80 like that. You don't even have to grind them up, right? So yeah, that's insane to me, right? That you can do that. Takes away the pain of having to level up all characters. And this game's just a big pit of diversity, dynamic events, and overall, it is such a good experience, and it's completely different than any other MMO you will ever play. And that's a double-edged sword. Once you get into the game, you get addicted, and you fall in love with its systems and how it does things as an MMORPG. It makes playing other MMOs nearly impossible. It makes it nearly impossible to delve in. Though, getting into it has been known to be a little bit difficult because so many MMO players are used to specific ways of playing. And something as vastly as different as Guild Wars 2 can be a little bit intimidating, can be confusing, and it can be daunting to get into. And I feel like that's a lot of times where players have a hard time getting into is because it is so different. But it's so different in a good way. It takes out all the pain, the struggle, the annoying parts of a typical MMO, right? A new expansion comes out. Congratulations, that gear you worked so hard for is now worthless. Now you got to get new gear. Congratulations. This game doesn't do that. New expansion comes out. Your gear is still valid, right? It may come out with different types of gear that has different bonuses to stats, like different types of like certain gear sets have certain stats built into them, different from other ones. So say a new set comes out that would fit your playstyle just a little bit more, then yeah, go for that one, for sure. But once you get a gear set, right, that you really like, you're good. New expansion comes out, just delve straight into the content. There's no need for any grind. Now you may ask, like, well, how does progression work? It's kind of boring. I like vertical progression. I like grinding for new. Well, this game has a mastery system, and this is the game's horizontal progression, right? So I can't show you these, but in Heart of Thorns, the progression there is gliders, right? You get gliders. How you use those gliders gets altered. There's different ways to traverse the map in that game that you have to unlock these forms of progression. Once you hit level 80, you'll have access to masteries, right? To get certain areas, you need certain things unlocked. Well, you click a mastery, you grind out the XP. Once you get full max XP, you use these points to unlock it, go on to the next one. And it's like that for Spirit Saga, Heart of Thorns, Path of Fire, right? For all of these. Path of Fire introduced mounts. As you can see, I have a raptor. The only mount I have, but there are quite a few different mounts in the game. You unlock those, you make those better, you allow those to do different things. That is its progression. Speaking of mounts, though, and in the other MMOs, mounts are reskins, right? Every mount does pretty much the same thing. In World of Warcraft, you either have ground mounts or flying mounts, but ultimately they do the same thing. They all do the exact same thing. They just look different. In this game, each mount has a purpose. Each mount has a different feeling. Each mount has a different ability. Raptors can make long horizontal leaps, right? If you need to jump over a long gap, raptors are the way to go. Raptor's main ability allows you to tail whip, pulling in enemies in a small little area, allowing you to jump off and to do a bunch of kill them all. Very, very useful for grinding out mobs. The Springer, really good for jumping super, super high in the air. The Skimmer is really good for going over water or harsh like areas that would kill you to walk on. You use a skimmer to float over it. And if you level it up enough, you can actually use it to go under the water. Right? You have a jackal that can teleport and use sand portal. Then there's dragons and there's griffins that fly, and they all have their own ways of flying. It's every mount is useful in their own right. Now I will say some of the flying mounts can make the ground mounts a little trivial, but there are some aspects that you will need those. They are there, they're fun to use, they all feel really good, and they all meet a different expectation, right? So, but yeah, this game does everything so much different. It looks at World of Warcraft. It literally uses World of Warcraft as an example of what not to. You cannot be any further from that game. Right? So, World of Warcraft is yin and Guild Wars is yang. That is the best way I can explain it. And it uses WoW as things not to do. Not because WoW does it bad. That's not the case at all. It's not trying to be a copycat, right? When WoW came out, there are so many copycat clones of WoW. A bunch of free-to-play, pay-to-win MMOs that were coming out every week that would die a month or two later. They were just clones of the game. They were trying to take the successes of World of Warcraft and use it for their own. Guild Wars is like, nah, we're going to do things differently. And it's been doing things differently. Though it hasn't been quite as successful as World of Warcraft, it still has been very successful. Very, very, very successful. And every expansion, it just it keeps getting bigger and bigger. And people are, coming from World of Warcraft, they're either going to 14 or they're going to Guild Wars. Some people I would say would be going to. Yeah, like Final Fantasy 14. An issue I have with that is how much content there is in the game, right? I was looking at a post and they were saying it takes about like 500 hours, right? 500 hours just to get to Endwalker on average. You're reading the story. Someone like me who doesn't have that much time, you know how long it would take me to play 500 hours of a game right now? So something like that wouldn't work for me. And I want to do in-game content, right? In this game, new expansion comes out. You're not gated from the in-game content. Just go do it, right? Sure, there's other things you can grind for. There's a world to explore, more events, more quests. There's more content there. But if you just want to do the in-game content, just do it, right? You're already geared up. There's nothing stopping you. So yeah, overall, this is a fantastic game. This video's been going on long enough. I actually have to get ready for work. Though, if you have any questions, if you want to play with me, I'd Glad to. This is a fresh account. I completely made a new account, rebought the base game just to kind of get that fresh experience. But yeah, leave a comment below if you want to see more videos related to Guild Wars 2 content. This is one of my favorite MMOs. Always keep coming back to. And overall, I think it's one of the best experiences. The base game is free to play. So you just want to give it a shot, give it a try, 100%. But yeah, if you like the video, give it a like. If you want to see some more content to this one, if you want to see more Guild Wars, like I said, subscribe, put in the comments below. I'd be glad to make more content when I have time, and I will see you guys in the next one.